some of the events or a repetition of the events that have taken place here in Los Angeles recently, we have to go to the root. We have to go to the cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough.
Dear Mr. Massa, I'm just trying to mind my own business. What's the matter? It's just another day, another black king captured. I'm about to lose my brain, stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke. If you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put two dupes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Samir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a black queen, so if you ask me to step out of my car, you gon' have to snatch me. Cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my black shoes by the black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coons. The white man to go nuts if he can't shoot. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make
Queen.
We are
sense.
denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queen.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Ahmadiyyah.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Ahmadiyyah.
Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, even to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind to the prison. My skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame, and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They're trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations. I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
I'm
Queen.
getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation.
Queen.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so let's get ready to get into it. All right, hello, Pearly. Nessie X is in the virtual building. Ethelene is here. Bronze Flat Power God. Juju B is in the house. Buckhorse DC. Leon, We the People. Claudette. Okay, let's get into it. DJ Big Six. All right, so with that all being said, I see you there, Crazy Beach Aries. Above all the drama. Shout out to my moderators for putting in work. Shout out to all of my loyal royals and everyone tuned into the Queen. Now, without further ado, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. And don't forget that she sells beard oil. Okay, so that all being said, let's get into it. Let's talk about y'all's president, Donald J. Trump. And here is what he has been up to. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene said that Trump called her. Okay, because she came out and said that she was going to release the names of the Epstein clients. Now, she said that she didn't have the names herself, but that the victims had the names, and that she, because she's been working with the victims, she would be able to get the names from them and then release some of those names. Well, Trump didn't want her to do that. Okay, that's what he didn't want her to do. So let's talk about it. MTG, that's Marjorie Taylor Greene, claims Trump doesn't have any faith, slams sexualization of women at Mar-a-Lago. Now, outgoing firebrand Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene openly speculated that President Donald Trump lacks religious beliefs and slammed the sexualization of women at his lavish Mar-a-Lago club in a blistering series of interviews. Now, Greene reflects on Trump's stunning remarks at the memorial service for late conservative icon Charlie Kirk, in which the president was taken aback at how the Turning Point USA co-founder wanted the best for his enemies, saying, "That's where I disagree with Charlie. I hate my opponent. I don't want the best for them." This is what Trump declared at the same September memorial when Erica Kirk powerfully forgave the sicko who allegedly killed her husband in cold blood. Now, that was absolutely the worst statement. Okay, that's what Greene told the New York Times. It just shows where his heart is. And that's the difference with her, Erica, having a sincere Christian faith and proves that he does not have any faith. This is what Marjorie Taylor Greene said. Now, Trump was praised, or he was raised Presbyterian, but has described himself as a non-denominational Christian. Throughout his political career, the president has leaned heavily on support from evangelical Christians. Now, after a bullet came within a quarter inch of killing him during his rally in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, Trump has said that he became more of a believer and feels that he was saved by God. Now, Greene has been one of Trump's most ardent supporters throughout most of her career in Congress after she was first elected in 2021. She publicly decried the arrest and treatment of the January 6th Capitol rioters, backed Trump's dubious claims that the 2020 election was stolen, and even briefly garnered some buzz that she could be his VP pick last year. Now, her praise of Trump has been effusive, commencing his looks, dubbing him the greatest president in history, and calling him genuinely kind-hearted and caring about everyone. Okay, she sounds delusional, but let me continue. Now, that all being said, that began to change last spring when she slowly began splitting from him on some issues at an increasing pace. Trump has claimed that he set her off by sending her a poll indicating she wouldn't fare well if she ran for governor or senate. Now, Greene denied that Trump told her not to run, but announced that she wouldn't in May. Tensions between the two reached a tipping point last month when Trump yanked his endorsement for her re-election bid and publicly lashed out at her. She announced that she'd step down on January the 6th of 2026, shortly thereafter. Our side has been trained by Donald Trump to never apologize and to never admit when you're wrong. Now, this is what she said. Okay, this is what she said about Trump. You just keep pummeling your enemies no matter what. And as a Christian, I don't believe in doing that. I agree with Erica Kirk. Who did the hardest thing possible and said it out loud. Now, she later added that for a lot of MAGA, Trump is a savior and he's like a god to them. Well, that makes sense because they absolutely conduct themselves and act like a whole cult, in my opinion. So anyway, with that all being said, while looking back on the causes of their failing or their falling out, her falling out with Trump, Greene concluded that it was Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein was everything. She alleged that Trump privately opposed her reading out the names of some of the men tied to Epstein who abused women, telling her, "My friends will get hurt." That's what Trump told her. He said, "My friends will get hurt." Now, Greene also took issue with the aesthetic of women at Trump's Mar-a-Lago club, contending that they're over-sexualized. I never liked the MAGA Mar-a-Lago sexualization. I believe how women in leadership present themselves sends a message to younger women. I have two daughters, and I've always been uncomfortable with how those women puff up their lips and enlarge their breasts. I've never spoken about it publicly, but I've been planning to. Okay, now, when asked for comment on Greene's withering critique, White House spokesperson Davis Engel blasted her for quitting on her constituents in the middle of her term and abandoning the consequential fight that we're in. President Trump remains the undisputed leader of the greatest and fastest growing political movement in American history, the MAGA movement. That's what Engel said. We don't have time for her petty bitterness. Well, I guess they told her. Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? And I find it interesting that she said Trump told her. I mean, it's not shocking at all, but that she came out and told it is what is interesting. That Trump told her, my friends will get hurt. Okay. You don't want to say anything about that. He didn't want her to say anything about those names. And this also came out. And after hearing, now, but mind you, Trump's administration, the White House officials, they're all denying this. They're saying it never happened. But after the hearing, Green held a news conference at which she threatened to identify some of the men who had abused the women. Green says that she didn't know those names herself, but that she could have gotten them from the victims. Trump called Green to voice his displeasure. Green was in her Capitol Hill office, and according to a staff member, everyone in the rooms could hear him yelling at her as she listened to him on speakerphone. Green says she expressed her perplexity over his intransigence. Okay, and according to Green, Trump replied, "My friends will get hurt." Okay, now what do y'all think about that? What do y'all think about that? But again, Trump is denying it. He's saying that never happened. The White House, they're all saying this didn't happen. I'm pretty sure it did. Okay. I'm pretty sure it did. That sounds just like something Trump would say. And we all know that there is some reason he didn't want those things exposed. Okay. He's been lying and covering up all this time and stalling. Okay. And then just doing all sorts of things to get people not to talk about it. Okay. So anyway, what about the victim, says Measure Man? Exactly. See, that's the thing. He didn't say, oh, the victims are going to be harmed or the victims will be upset or this is going to help the victims. No, the first thing that Trump said was his friends were going to get hurt. That lets us know that he doesn't care anything about the victims. But of course, we already knew that. Okay? We already knew that. I mean, that's why he's been stalling and going off on anyone who dared to question him about those files. I mean, he fell out with Marjorie Taylor Greene over it. And then Lo and Beaubert has now come out and said that she fears that this may, him, vetoing this bill for clean water. She feels that may be retaliation against her for voting for the Epstein files information to be released. She said that she hoped it wasn't political retaliation. And of course, the White House claims it isn't. But isn't that all Trump seems to have been engaging in since he's been back in office? Okay, I find it all interesting. So anyway, with that all being said, let's go to one of these clips. Let's go to one of these clips. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Here we go.
This before, but the ultimate end of Donald Trump is going to be from the dog pile of scandals that he can't escape. After him sitting there pretending the Epstein files never existed, and then him saying, sure, go ahead, release them after fighting people on them for months, even calling Marjorie Taylor Greene a traitor for wanting them released. Now that they're being released, even though slowly trickled out, we can see why Trump didn't want them released in the first place. Because while tons of them are redacted, the ones that aren't still show damning evidence against Trump. We've all heard about the horrific events of Lake Michigan. Hopefully by now we've all seen that video of the former chauffeur who had to drive Trump to the airport and said he was going to get out and hurt him because of all the horrible things Trump was saying on the phone about him and Epstein abusing a girl. But now Trump suddenly wants to put a halt to all of these things being released because he thinks they should only release things that have Democrats' name in them to hurt them. He wants them to stop releasing all of the files with his name on them because it makes him look bad. And Trump thought that if they released these files, he'd be like, okay, that's it, nothing to see here, and people would just forget about it. But instead, this is actually bringing more things to light, keeping people talking about it, keeping it fresh in the press, and also giving Congress more reasons to further investigate it. But we also can't forget his old nemesis, Jack Smith. because Jack Smith and his lawyers just called on the House to release the full tape of his deposition, including all of the evidence they have compiled against Trump willfully trying to overturn a free and fair election illegally. Even audio that was turned over to them by someone in Trump's inner circle that was recording Trump without his knowledge, where there's no hemming and hawing anymore. It is blatant that he was telling them to steal and hide certain documents. Jack Smith wants all of that information released publicly, showing that Trump engaged in a criminal scheme to overturn the results of 2020. And he said if they're not willing to make his entire deposition public, he's willing to do the entire testimony all over again publicly, which lasted more than 9 hours the first time. He's not fucking around. And all of these multiple scandals from different sides just keeps wearing down on Trump. He already has several Republicans in Congress who said they aren't going to run for re-election next year because they have nothing to run on. The Republicans have accomplished absolutely nothing for the American people since Trump took power again. Trump's approval is in the 30s. His approval has been a net negative for months. And they can't run on all of the accomplishments they did for the American people of lowering their prices like they said they would because they haven't done shit. That's why they know they're going to get crushed in the midterms. But things like Jack Smith, things like the Epstein files, those are going to continue to be a hot button topic all throughout that midterm season. I've said this before, but the ultimate
All right. Well, at the end of the day, there has definitely been a whole lot of scandals with Trump, okay, and a whole lot of lies coming straight from his mouth, as well as other officials in his administration. Now, Measurement says Chris Tucker needs to sit down. Rush Hour directors, both men, were oiled up half naked all over each other, talking about he was on a mission for Africa. Sir, in bathrobes and hot tubs and oil. Okay. When did all this happen, honey? This is news to me. All sounds nefarious. But not in bathrobes and hot oil. All right. Thank you for that information and thank you for your contribution to the channel, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay. Measurement said Black Winter is coming. All right. So now with that all being said, let's talk about the strikes on Venezuela and Nigeria. Okay, because we already know what Trump's up to, don't we? We already know what Trump's up to. And I want you all to pay attention because here's the thing. You all know that Trump is actually following some of Putin's, he's following some of Putin's moves. I want y'all to pay attention because remember, prior to the Kremlin or Ukraine invading, prior to Russia, the Kremlin invading Ukraine in February of 2022, which I believe was February the 24th of 2022. Prior to that, I believe it was around 2018 when they started targeting Ukraine's boats. Okay? They started targeting Ukraine's boats. That's what they did. And then the next thing you know, they were involved in a full-on invasion. Okay, please pay attention. And isn't that what Trump seems to be doing over in Venezuela? Because now he's on land and he's bragging about the land strikes and all this and that, and just taking over their facilities and all this stuff. And here's the thing, taking their oil and claiming it as the U.S.'s, just doing too much. And we know that this is not about any smuggling of illegal substances because, for one, as I told you all before, he pardoned the former Honduran president. Okay, the one who trafficked over 400 tons of Coca-Cola into the United States. Not only that, also the guy who created Silk Road. Do you all remember that? He did that back in January. The guy who created Silk Road, who was accused of trafficking illegal substances online through the dark web. Okay, with Bitcoin, was accepting Bitcoin payments. Do you all remember that? Okay, so does he really care about illegal substances or is this something else? Okay, it's clearly something else. Not to mention, also of note, is the fact that I already told you all that the main route for smuggling of illegal substances comes from Colombia. Okay, it's coming through Colombia, not Venezuela, but also the main ones with the fentanyl production is Mexico. But he's not going to step to Mexico, is he? No, he isn't. And he's really going for going for Venezuela because he wants their oil and their rare earth minerals. Like I told you all, his son Donald Trump Jr. with that company 1789 Capital, they've been investing in rare earth minerals. Okay, so that's what it's all about. And he wants the oil. Also, listen, Venezuela has an abundance of oil, but also Nigeria is the largest supplier of oil in Africa. And he recently had them hit Nigeria with strikes, and he said there's going to be more. Okay, so I want you all to pay attention. Now, Mexico has lots of oil too, but the bottom line is he's not going to touch them because they're supposed to be one of our allies. But not only that, they also have ties to China and Israel. And we know he's not going to do anything to go against Israel. Okay, so please pay attention. At the end of the day, Trump is just doing a whole lot of unethical things. Okay, he's just doing a whole lot of crazy stuff. And another thing, do you all not remember that he had told Ukraine that one of his conditions for ending the war with Russia was for Ukraine to give up $500 billion worth of their minerals. Do you all remember that? I reported on it. Okay, that was one of his conditions, that he would stop the war between Russia and Ukraine. But Ukraine, he wanted them, as a condition of this, he wanted Ukraine to give him $500 billion worth of their minerals. So Trump wants these minerals. Okay, this is why he's doing these things, in my opinion. At the end of the day, he can sit there and lie and act like he's trying to clean up, the rug smuggling and all of that. But if he was so concerned, why are you sitting here pardoning people who were involved in the trafficking of illegal substances? Okay, make that make sense. All right, make that make sense. He absolutely cannot. But anyway, let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. How many countries has Trump bombed in 2025? Venezuela is the latest country to be hit by U.S. strikes as the Trump administration ramps up military interventions. Now, this week, United States President Trump confirmed that the U.S. has struck a docking facility in Venezuela, marking the first military action on the South American country's land since it began targeting Venezuela's shipping in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific in September of 2025. Now, speaking to reporters as he met in Florida with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Trump said there had been an explosion in Venezuela at a facility where the boats the U.S. believes to be carrying illegal substances usually load up. That's what he said. The explosion was where they load up the boats. Right now, saying there was a major explosion in the dock area where they load the boats up with the rugs. Okay, they load the boats up with rugs. So we hit all the boats, and now we hit the area. It's the implementation area. That's where they implement, and that is no longer around. Do you know how stupid he sounds? It's the implementation area. That's where they implement. And that is no longer around. Trump is a whole idiot. Now, Trump did not reveal any more details about the strikes, but he sure does love to brag about these things. And then talking about he stopped all these wars, 8 of them in 8 months, and didn't get any credit. Well, you didn't get any credit because you didn't really stop any wars. You see, what Trump likes to do is he likes to sit there and wait for these leaders to get together, and then they have discussions and talks, as I've told you all before, and then they come to a resolution, and then he wants to get the credit for it. And then they're like, wait a minute, you didn't have anything to do with this. We settled it ourselves. Okay, this is what he does. It's like, because I'm Trump and I say so. That's the attitude that he has. So anyway, like I said, he keeps on talking about he deserved that Nobel Peace Prize and he ended all these wars, okay, and all of the foolishness. Now, Armed Conflict Location and Event Data, or ACLED, the Nonpartisan Conflict Monitor, told Al Jazeera that the U.S. had carried out or been a partner to 622 overseas bombings in all, using drones or aircraft since January the 20th of 2025 when Trump first took office. Now, the attacks contrast with his promise to voters to end U.S. involvement in foreign conflicts. And, Trump was the one that was saying that Biden was going to start World War III. And then he was saying Kamala would start World War III. But I'm telling you right now, Trump's the one that's going to start World War III. That's exactly what he's going to do. Okay, please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, The U.S. carried out military attacks against a total of 7 countries in 2025. Okay, now this week the U.S. confirmed one strike on a docking facility in Venezuelan territory as part of the Trump administration's escalating war on boats that it claims are smuggling illegal substances from the country to U.S. No details about the strike and how it took place have been released. Now, with that all being said, that followed the U.S. Navy's seizure of 2 oil tankers off the Venezuelan coast earlier in December in an apparent attack to choke Maduro's main economic lifeline. Washington claims the vessels are part of a shadow fleet of tankers smuggling sanctioned oil. Now, since August, the U.S. has amassed the largest military presence in the Caribbean Sea in decades, causing alarm among governments there. Now, the Trump administration claims this is warranted because the trafficking of drugs to the U.S. constitutes a national emergency. But multiple reports have shown that Venezuela is not a major source of drugs being transported across borders. Okay, didn't I tell you all that weeks ago, if not months ago? All a load of BS. So on September the 2nd, they say, hold on, beloveds. These are the first pop-ups. Okay, here they go. Now, on September the 2nd, the U.S. began striking small boats in the Caribbean that it alleges were trafficking illegal substances. It is thought that it has struck more than 30 vessels since then. Now, the Trump administration says the vessels are operated by Venezuelan terrorist organizations, including the Tren de Agua Group and the Colombian National Liberation Army. However, it has provided no such evidence for this. At least 95 people have been killed in the boat strikes. Human Rights Watch revealed on December the 16th that this was the amount and accused Washington of extrajudicial killings. In early December, U.S. lawmakers from both Republican and Democratic sides urged the Pentagon to release full footage of the first strike on September the 2nd, which has proved even more controversial following revelations that the vessel was subject to a double tap. Okay, attack. 2 survivors of the first attack, clinging to debris in the water following the first strike, were killed in a follow-up strike. Now, Caracas accuses the U.S. of using claims of drug trafficking as a cover for seeking a government change in Venezuela. Trump, meanwhile, has called Venezuela a narco state and said President Nicolas Maduro, his days are numbered. Well, like I told you all, Maduro is going to be run out of there. He's going to be taken out of power, and then Trump's going to get all the credit. But at the end of the day, the people already wanted him out of there. They've already been trying to get him out of there because they said that he was fraudulently. He just took over. Okay, he just took over. He didn't win any election, sort of like how Trump tried to do it. Now, with that all being said, on Christmas Day, we know that the U.S. launched the first of what Trump said would be powerful and deadly strikes against groups that Washington claims are affiliated with ISIL and ISIS in northwest Nigeria's Sokoto state. Now, it followed weeks of diplomatic pressure on the Nigerian government, which Trump and senior conservative Republicans, including Ted Cruz, have accused of enabling a Christian genocide in a country whose population is a nearly even mix of Christians and Muslims. So Nigeria has been plagued by violence from armed groups, linked to Al-Qaeda or ISIL, operating in the predominantly Muslim northeast and northwest regions. Abuja denies allegations of genocide and says Muslims and Christian communities alike are affected by the violence. Furthermore, alleged attacks on Christian farmers in Nigeria have taken place in a completely different part of the country. U.S. Senator Ted Cruz first accused Nigeria's government of enabling a massacre against Christians in October of 2025, citing a rising number of attacks against the community in the country's central middle belt region, which is separate from the violence in the north. Even though these two issues are separate, Abuja, under pressure, agreed to the U.S. military operation in the north of the country on December the 25th. Details of that strike are still emerging, and the U.S. Africa Command said in a statement that multiple ISIS terrorists were killed in the ISIS camps, and Nigeria's Ministry of Foreign Affairs said the strike was successful. Okay, y'all hear that? I don't know why they let Trump, just do what he wants. And Congress at this point is absolutely no good. Trump is doing all of these things without authorization or approval from Congress. Okay, all of these things that he's doing is absolutely illegal, and they're not doing a darn thing. And that's because they're complicit. Okay, they could say whatever they want, but at this point, they have to be complicit. Now, with that all being said, likes up, everyone, please like and share. I'm going to pull up this video report. Scant details after Trump says U.S. knocked out a big facility linked to the alleged rug boat. This is from CBS.
Monitor shows us the latest U.S. military escalation off the coast of Venezuela. You are seeing it here behind me. The 30th known military strike on a boat allegedly carrying drugs into the United States. In this hit, 2 are dead. That brings the total number of known deaths up to 107. This latest target comes while President Trump confirms the first known U.S. land strike inside of Venezuela. Listen.
The facility taken out by the U.S. military, or was it another entity like the CIA?
Well, I don't want to say that. I know exactly who it was, but I don't want to say who it was. But it was along the shore.
So let's take this apart. Live now to White House reporter Aaron Navarro. So Aaron, what more are we learning about that land strike?
Yeah, well, President Trump was the first one to announce this publicly, both yesterday in his meeting with Netanyahu, as well as during a radio interview last Friday, where he suggested the strike may have happened around last Wednesday, so Christmas Eve. The White House and U.S. agencies are not sharing many details. U.S. Special Operations said it did not support this operation with intelligence, and the CIA declined to comment. Though we do know that President Trump authorized CIA operations in Venezuela earlier this year. We also know that a nearby fire in this area of Venezuela that occurred at a warehouse of a chemical production company is not tied to this strike, and that's according to a statement from the company Primazol. And we still have not yet heard from Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro in response to this strike last week.
But what's the messaging where Maduro is concerned? Because certainly we've seen international and national media ask the president about whether he is really doing this to put pressure on Maduro for regime change.
And that's been objective for President Trump even since his first term. And President Trump yesterday did say that he had spoken to the Venezuelan leader, but said nothing much came out of it. Take a listen to his response from yesterday here.
I spoke to him. Pretty recently, but nothing much comes of it. Yeah, you have to understand what he's done. They've sent billions of dollars of drugs in, but maybe just as bad, they've sent hundreds of thousands of people in from jails, from prisons, from mental institutions and insane asylums. But 97% of the drugs coming in by the ocean, by the sea, by water, are gone. Every boat that we take out, we save 25,000 lives of Americans.
Now, the drug trade and trafficking, as you heard President Trump, has been the public argument behind the heightened military presence, but oil in Venezuela is also a big factor. That's why you've seen President Trump announce a blockade of sanctioned vessels coming in and out of Venezuela. And you saw the U.S. seize 2 fully loaded cargo ships of Venezuelan oil earlier this month. And Trump made it clear when he announced that blockade that he wants the U.S. to have more of a presence when it comes to oil in Venezuela. He said that the country needs to return its assets, a reference to when U.S. companies, nearly every one of them, was pushed out of the oil business in Venezuela once it became under state control in the 1970s. And in the backdrop of all of this is that China has a big foothold in Venezuelan oil, notable adversary to the United States during President Trump's second term, and adding to the list of reasons why oil may be an even bigger motivation behind all the heightened military presence that we're seeing in Venezuela.
Aaron Navarro live from the White House. Thank you.
Huggies Double Grip Strips versus Baby Gear. Will it stay put? A toy piano? Yep. A rocking horse? Yep. An entire...
All right. Okay, so sorry about that, beloveds. I'm multitasking, okay? So please keep that in mind. Now, with that all being said, listen, Trump is doing a whole lot of nefarious things, like I said. And let's just talk about how he's controlling the narrative in the media. He's having these certain media outlets say what he wants them to say. Fox News, we know they're always going to be on Trump's side, but CBS also. And let's not forget how uh that whole report on CCOT and the migrants who have been sent over there to prison, people who are not even criminals, okay, who are not violent criminals. So you could say they were criminals if they were in the country illegal, but some of those people were here legally, okay? But they didn't want that put out. The White House didn't want it put out. And the reason that Trump and the White House didn't want it put out is supposedly because it made them look bad. Okay, it made them look bad. The way those people were treated in such inhumane fashion. I mean, they talked about how those people were forced to kneel for hours, beaten, their teeth broken. Absolutely appalling. Okay? And then they sat up there and lied. The editor-in-chief, Barry Weiss, pulled the segment hours before the broadcast, saying that it wasn't ready and needed additional reporting, including on-camera interviews with Trump and his administration officials. Please, what were they going to say? What could they say to make it better? Okay, the end of the day had already been reviewed how many times, and they had approved, but they did not want that coming out because, like I said, Trump and his people knew, or they felt that it was going to make them look bad. So if the truth makes you look bad, what do? Well, you try to hide the truth. Okay. And then you put out a bunch of lies. That's all Trump and his whole administration's been doing. Okay. That's all they have been doing the whole time they've been in office. But let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Now, with that all being said, and let's talk about these pardons. Let's get into that next. Let's talk about these pardons. Hold on, let me pull up this next clip. So Trump said he wanted to pardon Tina Peters. Okay, and then he runs into limits and gets mad. So let's get into it. Because basically they say that her crimes were not federal, they were state, and that you cannot, as the president, you're not supposed to be pardoning someone for state crimes, that it has to be federal. But again, Trump thinks that he can do any and everything that he wants to do. So let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
Trump has been on a pardoning spree of late, using his executive power to bestow clemency on convicted businessmen and the former president of Honduras.
Know what up in this?
Well, they didn't make a mistake. They erased it.
He recently announced on social media that he was pardoning Tina Peters, a former Colorado County clerk, though his pardon power only covers federal crimes, not her state convictions. He wrote online the Democrats had, quote, been relentless in their targeting of her.
She caught people cheating on an election, and they said she was cheating. She wasn't cheating.
She may not be a household name, but Peters' case has become a rallying cry for MAGA and the president since her conviction last year. Tina Peters served as the Mesa County clerk administering elections in the Colorado community after being first elected in 2018. A Republican, Peters became a vocal election denier, questioning the 2020 results and the voting machines used to conduct them.
No one has addressed looking into the machines to see what has been happening by these vendors, by this vendor that manufactures the machines and what goes on. It's been a mystery box, a mystery black box.
In 2021, Peters allowed someone associated with MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell to misuse a security card to gain access to the county election system and lied about his identity.
And she knows what she did, and she knows what she did was brave, but it wasn't wrong.
Her attorney, Peter Tickton, says Peters doesn't regret her actions.
For her to admit to wrongdoing would have to be because she's either brainwashed herself or others brainwashed her. Or I mean, she'd be living a falsity.
Peters was charged in 2023 with 10 counts related to the scheme. A Republican district attorney prosecuted the case. She was convicted in summer of 2024 of 7 of those charges, 3 counts of attempting to influence a public servant, 1 count of conspiracy to commit criminal impersonation, first-degree official misconduct, violation of duty, and failing to comply with the Secretary of State. The district judge sentenced her to 9 years in prison, not mincing words at her sentencing.
Your lies are well documented, and these convictions are serious. I'm convinced you would do it all over again if you could. You're as defiant as a defendant as this court has ever seen. You are no hero, you abused your position, and you're a charlatan.
During his second term, President Trump has repeatedly pressured the Justice Department and Colorado officials to pardon or release Peters, writing in August, quote, "If she is not released, I'm going to take harsh measures." Democratic Colorado Secretary of State Jenna Griswold spoke to PBS NewsHour about that pressure campaign.
What happens with Trump is he tries to push the line, tries to push people pretending he has authority that he does not. And if they refuse an unlawful order or an unlawful executive order or request, then the retaliation starts from him, but also the far right.
This is just the latest in a series of moves to rewrite the 2020 election. The president recently pardoned prominent members of his 2020 campaign legal team who had not been charged with federal crimes, including Rudy Giuliani and attorney Sidney Powell. And on his first day in office, he pardoned more than 1,500 January 6 defendants. Griswold says that Trump's pardon for Peters has clear limits.
She was convicted under our state laws in a state court, and the president does not have authority to issue pardons for state convictions. That's very clear in the Constitution.
I need this.
But Peters' attorney believes the Constitution is being misinterpreted, a revelation that struck him as he watched the 2012 film Lincoln.
We're looking at it now, post the Civil War, when the central government, the federal government, became the strong central government that it is, that really made the United States into one cohesive government, one cohesive country, instead of a conglomeration of countries, which it originally was. So when the framers wrote for offenses against the United States, they weren't talking about it, they were talking about them.
Are there any examples that you can think of a president pardoning a state crime or state conviction?
So there are, but I really need to delve into it a little bit deeper.
Colorado's Democratic Governor Jared Polis said after the president's announcement that the courts will decide the matter. Ticton hopes it reaches the highest court in the land.
The Supreme Court of the United States has a good number of the justices are fundamentalists. They are smart enough to understand what the Constitution really means. You got to look at the minds of the founders. What did they mean?
Griswold, though, argues the repercussions would be felt far and wide if Peters walks free.
It would set the precedent that people can attack our elections and potentially disenfranchise Americans without any type of consequences. It would also set the precedent that if people break the law and are friends with Donald Trump, they won't face consequences. That's a direct assault to the rule of law in this country, and it just cannot stand.
For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Liz Landers.
Wait just a second. We have one more thing to share.
We want to say a heartfelt thank you for watching and supporting PBS News.
Without you, we simply...
Okay, so you all hear that? So Trump's buddies don't get any punishment for their crimes. Okay? And I find that very interesting. Now, and also, you know that there has been rumors and people have alleged that Trump accepts money for pardons, millions of dollars. So if you have enough money, I guess you could just get away with anything under Trump's rule. Okay? Allegedly. All right. So with that all being said, let's go to this next clip. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Thank you in advance.
He's so concerned about fraud going on in Minnesota, and Donald, we all would be concerned about fraud anywhere. But my question to you is this: if you're so concerned truly about fraud, why have you pardoned some of those that have been convicted of billions of dollars worth of fraud, Donald. How can that possibly be? What? Donald Trump is pardoning convicted criminals of fraud, and he's so concerned about fraud in Minnesota? Donald, you're not a hypocrite, are you? Not at all. How could that possibly be? Well, let's just look at some of the examples. $1.3 billion Medicare fraud by Philip Esformas for nursing homes. Yep, Donald, you did that one. Another one, Joseph Swartz, nursing home fraud, Medicare fraud, Medicaid fraud, tax fraud, employment fraud, tax evasion, 38 million plus across 11 states. Donald. Trevor Milton, fraud with securities fraud and bank fraud. Donald defrauding people, buying his securities in the stock he's selling in his company. Donald, how could you do that? And Todd and Julie Chrisley, again, bank fraud and tax evasion to the tune of like nearly $40 million. Yep, them too. And then don't forget Jared Kushner's father, Charles Kushner, tax evasion. Yep, did that too. And if you want to go check the list goes on and on and on. So Donald says so worried about fraud going on, he just needs a smoke screen to get away from those Epstein files, I think. And by the way, you want to badmouth Biden again in 2022? Biden in Minnesota had the Feeding Our Future investigated, and they found $250 to $300 million worth of fraud with child nutrition funds. And they had, I think, over 47 people were initially arrested, and I think it's over 78 now that they arrested and convicted those guys. So again, let's get our facts straight. But Donald, don't tell us you're all worried about fraud. Donald, the one I haven't mentioned yet. What about Trump University fraud, Donald? $25 million, the one Pam Bondi wouldn't sue you for in Florida because you gave her that $25,000 check. Remember that one too? Remember Trump University's fraud? So Donald, if you're so against fraud, whoops, and what about that charity you had too? Ooh, I forgot that one too. Yep. So love to hear from Democrats, my MAGAs, my crazies, my cuckoos, and a burnout light bulb. Is Donald Trump really worried about fraud? If he were, he wouldn't have been committing fraud with his university. He wouldn't have pardoned all these people that have committed fraud for millions to billions. What do you think? I just want to get away from it.
Okay, so he's absolutely right. Okay, he is absolutely right. And, it was a big controversy when he, in fact, pardoned Ross William Albright. And that's the guy who created Silk Road. Okay, this guy had ties to Al-Qaeda and all sorts of things. Hold on for just a second. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Okay, so now this guy went to trial in 2015 and maintained his innocence, mind you. The guy that created Silk Road. Okay, and then he did not enter a guilty plea and did not make a courtroom confession admitting the crimes. Hold on, beloveds. Okay, the jury found him guilty based on digital evidence such as servers, chat logs, laptop data. Okay, all of these things, all of his devices had information on them. And Trump said this man didn't do anything. Trump was going in on somebody saying, oh, he didn't do anything. You don't know what you're talking about. That's what he said. Okay? This man committed all of these crimes at the end of the day. Hold on. I'm trying to go to exactly what Trump said when he was telling somebody, claiming they didn't know what they were talking about. Yeah, here it is right here. He was talking to a reporter October the 23rd of 2025. President Trump at Homeland Security Roundtable. He says, a lot of people say that he wasn't guilty of anything. He served 4 months in jail, and they say that he was not guilty of anything of that. And then the reporter cuts him off and says, but wait a minute. Didn't he admit to his crimes? And then Trump says, what? He did? Well, you don't know much about crypto. You know nothing about nothing. You're fake news. But let me just tell you that he was somebody that I was told, I don't know him. I don't believe I ever met him, but I've been told by a lot of support. He had a lot of support, and they said that what he did is not even a crime. It wasn't a crime that he was prosecuted by the Biden administration. And so I gave him a pardon at the request of a lot of very good people. Now, do you all hear this? See how Trump lies and backpedals? Now, mind you, he sat there and said the man didn't do anything and that it was fake news. But when the reporter told him, wait a minute, didn't he in fact admit to his crimes? And then Trump's, oh, I don't know him. I don't think I've ever met him. And in fact, the only reason I pardoned him is because other people told you to. Trump, sit down somewhere, okay? Sit down somewhere. Okay, this man is absolutely nefarious. Okay, he absolutely is. At the end of the day, and this man was serving a life sentence, if I'm not mistaken. He was sentenced to life plus 40 years. Okay? But thanks to Trump, this man is walking free. Absolutely egregious. But anyway, let's continue. Everyone, please like and share. Because here's the thing. Now, these Peruvian shaman, they've come out, okay, and said that Trump is very ill and that America needs to be prepared for it. And they say that Trump is going to get very sick. Now, I just want to tell you all this. Once in the chat, if you all remember that you heard it here first. Y'all do remember that, right? That I told y'all Trump is sick, that I told y'all I believe he has dementia, and that I told y'all I believe he's taking Lakimba, and that I also told you all that Trump is not going to make it through the whole 4 years. Once in the chat, if you remember me telling you all that. Okay, I keep telling y'all I be reporting stuff, and then it comes out weeks later, sometimes even months. Now, mind you, these are Peruvian shaman who have been doing these predictions for quite some time. Okay, I remember them being wrong once. They got something wrong, but they're usually accurate. So they say Trump's going to be stricken with a very serious illness, and America needs to be prepared. Well, hey, I'm prepared. How about y'all? I'm ready for it. How about y'all? Because yeah, he absolutely is. I see it coming. I told you all. Trump's raising all this hell and creating all this chaos, but all that's going to come to a close. Okay? And speaking of Trump's illness, remember those marks on his hand? Well, so now they're saying it's not just on one hand, but on both. Now, someone did a video about that, and let's go to it. Notice that it was on both of his hands, but now they're saying that it appears to have spread. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Here we go.
Yeah, quick question. Is our president dying? Because you know the bruise he had on that hand a couple months ago? Well, now it's spread to the other hand. He looks terrible. He looks more beat up than Jake Paul after a fight. And the strange thing is, a couple months ago when we all saw the bruise, the White House was like, oh yeah, it's because he shakes so many people's hands. Fucking sensitive, am I right? But here's the thing, it's no longer on his shaking hand. It's on the other one too. So is he shaking hands with both now? Playing patty cake with diplomats? Things typically like, oh my God, this is like so not an issue, it's not a big deal, but they're lying about it. And that's strange, right? They're like, oh, it's because he's shaking so many hands. So what is happening? What medication is he needing? What IV drip is he on? That he's blowing out both of his veins constantly. What's going on? Okay? Is this a sign of something bigger? Something more serious? God, I fucking hope so, right? Because I'm just saying, it's not quite 2026 yet. We could potentially go into the new year with a rotten orange or one that's been peeled away. I'm just saying, I think it's a little weird that you're lying about bruising. Shaking hands. It would have been more believable if you said he was part of a fight club. Yeah, quick question. Is our president dying?
I find it all so interesting, okay? But hey, the prediction's been made. But here's another thing. Another thing they predicted that I also told you all weeks ago is guess what? They predicted that President Maduro is going to be gone. Now, they didn't say that Trump's going to take credit for it. I'm just telling you all that. I already told you all that. That man's going to be run out of there and Trump's going to get the credit for it, okay? He's going to give himself the credit. Okay, so with that all being said, likes up, everyone, please like and share. Measure Man says, you said it. He took an MRI and said they said his IQ is the highest they'd ever seen. Said that is sickness within itself. Looks like he wears diapers now. Measure Man, you are so nefarious for that. Thank you for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay. Not that that's a sickness within itself. Okay, it certainly is though. Now here's the thing. I was busy looking up that stuff about the guy Robert Ulbricht, okay, from Silk Road. So I could tell you all just a little bit more about his nefarious crimes, just so you can get a little bit more insight into what Trump did when he pardoned this man. Now listen to this. First and foremost, hold on, let me see, where do I want to start? Okay, so law enforcement broke Silk Road's cover in a number of ways. A rogue agency investigator infiltrated the site and became an admin, gaining inside information about the site operations. He found Ulbricht's chats showed Pacific time, narrowing down his likely location. Okay, I'm going to skip past all of that. Hold on. Now, on February the 4th of 2015, Ulbricht was convicted on all counts after a jury trial that had taken place in January of 2015. On May 29th of 2015, he was sentenced to double life imprisonment plus 40 years without the possibility of parole. Do you all hear this? This is a very serious sentence. 2 life sentences plus 40 years without the possibility of parole to be served concurrently. Ulbricht was also ordered to pay about $183 million in restitution based on the total sales of illegal rugs and counterfeit IDs through Silk Road. Following his conviction, 2 of the federal agents who participated in the investigation were arrested and charged with wire fraud and money laundering. As the corruption was never mentioned at his trial, Ulbricht unsuccessfully used it as an argument when appealing for a new trial. Okay, now, with that all being said, he was appealing, he was trying to get out so desperately. Okay, and he wanted his sentence commuted and all of that. Well, you know, Trump pardoned him. And then here's the thing. In 2021, Ulbricht's prosecutors and defense agreed that Ulbricht would relinquish any ownership of newly discovered funds, of a newly discovered fund of $50,000 in Bitcoin, with nearly 5.35 billion in 2025 seized from a hacker in November of 2021. The Bitcoin had been stolen from Silk Road in 2013. Okay, so this man was raking in a whole lot of money with all of this illegal activities that he had going on. He even had federal agents involved in it, which I find all so nefarious at the end of the day. And I don't know if he paid Trump for this pardon, but he sure got one. Okay, the FBI started investigating him in October of 2013. Okay, well, that's when they actually arrested him the first time. I think they started investigating him shortly after he created this Silk Road thing. Okay, he created and operated the illegal darknet market Silk Road from 2011 until his arrest in 2013. Silk Road was an online marketplace that facilitated the trade in narcotics and other illegal products and services. Sales were anonymous using Bitcoin. It operated as a hidden service on the TOR network. Okay, Ulbricht ran the site under the pseudonym Dread Pirate Roberts after the fictional character from The Princess Bride. So I want you all to think about that, because if you remember, Pure Black Genius said, Queen, he created the platform. Yes, he absolutely did. He absolutely did. Now, with that all been said, if you all remember when I was reporting on Diddy before the trial, do you all remember? I want to say that it was Jaguar Wright who told a story about someone trying to purchase some footage of Diddy and someone else on the dark web, and that the stuff couldn't be traced because they used Bitcoin. Wasn't that Jaguar that said that? And then also that attorney, Ariel Mitchell Kidd, came out with her and Courtney Burgess, and they were talking about they had pictures and stuff like that and video, whatever, and someone was trying to buy it and all this stuff. So it sounds like the site that he hosted. Okay, but anyway, this man had 2 life sentences plus 40 years, no possibility of parole, and Trump pardoned him. Okay, but he's got the nerve to be sitting here talking about crooks and criminals when he's exactly that. Like, please make it all make sense. Okay, anywho, let's continue. Let's talk about how Lauren Boebert, feels like Trump vetoed this bill just to get back at her. Okay, and it was a safe water bill. Now, why wouldn't he want people to have clean water? Like, make that make sense. Okay, I'm going to go to this post from TikTok by the Midas Touch. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
Boebert is slamming Trump and suggesting he vetoed a clean water project in her district as revenge for her vote to release the Epstein files. And this veto certainly has revenge written all over it. Trump just used his first veto of his term to block a major drinking water project in Colorado. Boebert, who sponsored the bill, may be right that this is retaliation for her breaking with Trump on the Epstein files. It may also be revenge against Colorado for refusing to release a MAGA convict and Trump ally who's in state prison currently for trying to tamper with voting machines after the 2020 election. The veto kills funding for the Arkansas Valley Conduit, a decades-long project designed to bring safe drinking water to 39 communities on Colorado's eastern plains. The bill passed unanimously in both the House and the Senate. Republicans and Democrats all supported it. In a new statement, Boebert says, President Trump decided to veto a completely non-controversial, bipartisan bill that passed both the House and the Senate unanimously. Why? Because nothing says America first like denying clean drinking water to 50,000 people in southeast Colorado, many of whom enthusiastically voted for him in all 3 elections. I must have missed the rally where he stood in Colorado and promised to personally derail critical water infrastructure projects. My bad. I thought the campaign was about lowering costs and cutting red tape. But hey, if this administration wants to make its legacy blocking projects that deliver water to rural Americans, that's on them. She added, quote, and I sincerely hope this veto has nothing to do with political retaliation for calling out corruption and demanding accountability. Americans deserve leadership that puts people over politics. This also comes after Trump publicly promised retaliation against Colorado for keeping his MAGA ally Tina Peters in prison. Peters was convicted on state charges for a scheme to tamper with the voting systems while searching for supposed 2020 election.
Now, that's the same lady that I was just telling you about, that I just showed you the clip of. Okay, so he is definitely, in my opinion, doing this as a retaliatory measure. Let's continue.
Election fraud. Trump even issued a fake pardon for Peters recently, despite the fact that he cannot pardon state charges, and then he raged at state officials for not releasing her. Now he's blocking clean water projects in the state as retribution. The communities affected rely on groundwater that's high in salt and in some cases contaminated with radioactivity. Congress could override the veto. The bill passed unanimously, so it would only require a 2/3 vote, but that's only if Republican leadership allows it to come up for a vote. At this point, it's essentially up to Mike Johnson if he dare go against Donald Trump. Whether Trump is blocking clean drinking water to protect himself as it relates to Epstein or to retaliate on behalf of his January 6th allies, either explanation is crazy. I also want to give huge credit to Kyle Clark, a local reporter in Colorado, who has been incredible in covering the story and revealing all.
Right. So with that all being said, isn't he nefarious? Honey, what in the world is really going on? But let's continue because let's go to this next clip. Likes up, everyone. Don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance. Trump is a low down, dirty dog. Okay?
Trump just used his first veto of his current term to kill a funding project for drinking water in Colorado. The bill passed Congress with unanimous bipartisan support. This veto comes as Trump has promised retaliation against Colorado for keeping his ally Tina Peters in prison for her scheme to tamper with voting systems. Trump's recently denied disaster funding to Colorado and is breaking up the NCAR Science Lab in Boulder. This pipeline project is in the district of Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, who recently stood up to Trump to force the release of the government files on the infamous pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. Trump is now killing the bill to finish the Arkansas Valley Conduit, a decades-long project to bring safe drinking water to 39 communities on the eastern plains between Pueblo and Lamar. The groundwater there is high in salt, and wells sometimes unleash radioactivity into the water supply. This project was first approved by Congress in 1962. In recent years, the cost estimate nearly doubled. Trump's veto message called it a taxpayer handout, suggested it should be paid for locally. Colorado's Democratic senators have chipped away at the funding gap on this project for more than a decade. And Republican Congresswoman Boebert sponsored the House version of the bill to get it across the finish line. She told me tonight she hopes that this veto is not political retribution.
It does make you wonder, and I hope that's not the case. I've been told by the White House this is not retribution, but when it's the first of two bills that have been vetoed in this administration in just the first year of this administration, it kind of makes you want to step back and say, well, what's really going on here? But regardless, I was elected to serve Colorado's 4th district. This project stretches beyond the 4th district to constituents that I have served in the past and will continue to serve. And I will ensure that they get this access that they so desperately are needing.
The Senate and the House sent this bill to President Trump by voice vote, which suggests there could be wide margins to overturn the president's veto, but only if Republican leaders in the House and Senate will allow an override vote. Boebert said that she's already been in touch with Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson to figure out ways to pass this funding bill, either through a veto override or by rolling it into other legislation. President Trump.
All right, and let me just tell you all some more news, what Trump did. Okay, now, here's the thing. Trump and his administration, they will say that they had nothing to do with this, I'm sure. That neither Trump nor the administration has the power to unilaterally change the U.S. Postal Service's postmarking policies or to end mail-in voting, as these functions are largely governed by the independent USPS Board of Governors and state-level election laws. That's what they'll say if I or you were to ask them if they had anything to do with the changing of the postmarking policy. Did you all know about this? Once in the chat, if you know that they have changed the postmarking policy. Put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat. And like I said, if you ask Trump and his administration, that's what they'll tell you, that neither we didn't have anything to do with this. Why would we? No. We had nothing to do with it, and they would not be lying because they likely didn't have anything to do with it. But here's the trick. The Postmaster General, Louis DeJoy, a major Trump donor, that's who he is, okay, who was appointed by Trump, okay? He was appointed the USPS Board of Governors and has implemented original changes that affect how and when mail is postmarked. So though the White House, though Trump didn't do this, well, he's the one that put the person in that position that did do it, leading to potential delays that could impact time-sensitive mail-in ballots. Okay, time-sensitive things like mail-in ballots. I want y'all to pay attention. You see how he's trying to do this already? Okay, you see how he's trying to do this already? So here's the thing. Now, the USPS has reportedly changed its internal policy regarding what date an item is postmarked. The official postmark date may now be applied at a regional processing facility days after the item is dropped in a local mailbox rather than on the day it was accepted. Okay, so as part of the multi-year Delivering for America, DFA initiative, the USPS has consolidated sorting centers and eliminated some evening mail pickups under a policy known as Regional Transportation Optimization, also known as RTO. Now, these changes are intended to increase efficiency, but have resulted in slower delivery standards and the potential for mail to be postmarked a day or more later. So you could drop your mail off at the post office, but if no one sorts it until 2 or 3 days later, then that's when it will be postmarked. Do y'all see the problem here? If you're mailing in your votings, here's how it can impact mail-in voting. You see, these changes have raised concerns among voting and healthcare advocates. Many state laws require mail-in ballots to be postmarked by the election day. Okay, by election day to be counted. Now, if a ballot dropped off on election day is not postmarked until the next day because that's when it was sorted or whatever, it could be rejected. The changes essentially mean that voters and others sending time-sensitive documents can no longer rely on a same-day postmark at local post offices if they want or if they wait until the last minute. So, that might seem like a little small thing, but think about it. It can have major consequences for those who have to mail in their voting ballots. All right? Yeah. And that wasn't Trump, but it was somebody who Trump put in position. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention because that's what he's been doing all along, putting his loyalists in these major positions of authority and power so that he can get done everything that he wants done. Are y'all paying attention? And it's only going to get worse in the upcoming months. But let's continue because now let's talk about the Kennedy Center once again and then we're going to get into the Somalians because Somalian leaders have come out and acknowledged that their people were in fact committing all that fraud. Find it interesting. Now, here's the thing. They went in on African Americans or Black Americans, right? But they're crickets when their own leaders come out and call out the BS. We'll get to that shortly, and I'll show the footage. But in the meantime, in between time, with that all being said, let's talk about the Kennedy Center, because I told you all days ago that the jazz performer who was supposed to be there canceled, and now they want to sue him for $1 million. But not so fast, because now dancers have quit. Are they going to sue them too? Let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Here we go. The lovely T said a lot of other mailings will be affected. Oh, yes, of course. Absolutely. But the ones that Trump wants to be affected are the mail-in ballots. I can assure you. That's just my opinion.
Controversy. A dance company is now the latest group of performers to pull out of a show at the Trump Kennedy Center after the president put his name on the front of the building. The New York-based company calls the move a takeover by the Trump administration and says because the president renamed the building after himself, they, quote, can no longer permit ourselves nor ask our audiences to step inside this once great institution. This is the latest in a series of cancellations since the president attached his name to the Kennedy Center, including by one jazz performer who's now being sued by the Trump Kennedy Center for $1 million. For more, let's bring in senior White House correspondent Selena Wang, who is traveling with the president in Palm Beach County, Florida. So, Selena, the administration threatening to sue one of these artists that canceled a performance. What do we know about this?
Yeah, exactly. This is against jazz artist Chuck Red. Now, the Trump Kennedy Center is led by Trump's appointee, Richard Grenell, and the center is saying that they want to sue this jazz artist for $1 million. This is after Red announced that he was canceling his Christmas Eve program in light of Trump's name being added to the Kennedy Center building. Now, in response, the Kennedy Center is saying the following, quote, any artist canceling their show at the Trump Kennedy Center over political differences is not courageous or principled. They are selfish, intolerant, and have failed to meet the basic duty of a public artist to perform for all people. Now, Chuck Red is just one of several artists who have announced cancellations in light of the name change now to the Trump Kennedy Center. And another artist who announced their cancellation was folk singer Christy Lee. She was supposed to perform on January 14th, and she put out a statement on Instagram saying she won't lie to her audiences that canceling a show hurts. She says, quote, that's how I keep the lights on, but losing my integrity would cost me more than my paycheck. She goes on to say that when American history starts getting treated like something you can ban, erase, rename, or rebrand for somebody else's ego, I cannot stand on that stage and sleep right at night.
Building controversy, a dance company is now the latest group of performers.
Okay, so nobody wants to fool with him. That's what Nicki Minaj should have been thinking about. See, some people will lose money to save their integrity. And some people, all they care about is money. Now, Nicki Minaj, she's getting called out on all fronts for going full on MAGA after previously criticizing Trump in the past. Okay, and because, we all know what it is, Nicki Minaj. You want your husband to get that pardon, okay? And D.L. Hughley is one of the celebrities who's recently come out and dragged her for it. Now, let's go to this next clip of this man dragging Trump, no less.
So now performers are canceling their appearances at the Kennedy Center because Donald Trump put his name on it. And the president of the Kennedy Center came out and said in a statement that he would seek $1 million in damages against these musicians for canceling because they were making this into a political stunt. No, the only political stunt was Donald Trump sticking his name on the building. These musicians have every right as performers to not perform somewhere where they don't agree with what is going on. And we've had this debate before, but the conservatives out there have forgot this. Because back during the pandemic, there was a whole lot of musicians on the right who wanted to go out there and perform whenever and wherever, and they did not want to go along with any of the guidelines that were put in place. And it became a big battle amongst musicians and venues because venues would say, hey, if you're going to perform here, then people have to show proof of vaccination. And there were musicians who did not want to go along with that and said, we have freedom of speech and this is trampling on our rights. But now we have people who are saying, I don't agree with Donald Trump's political stunt. I don't agree with him putting his name on a memorial for John F. Kennedy. And so we're not going to play there. But now MAGA is okay with those musicians being punished. And there's no way in the world that you could ever make this one make sense. This is straight up authoritarian bullshit. This is straight up saying, if you don't bow the knee to us and you don't perform for me and you don't sing for me, then you're going to be punished. We have never seen a president like Donald Trump, and he's absolutely trying to govern as though he's the host of Celebrity Apprentice still. That's the way he's been governing this entire time. He spends most of his time talking about celebrities, musicians, athletes, actors, comedians, late night talk hosts. Those are the people that he goes after the hardest, and he sits there and criticizes their performances and criticizes and says they're not funny anymore, or he always tries to attack them and say they have low ratings, even though that's not true. But I've never seen a president in my lifetime so obsessed over performers. And now if you don't bow the knee to him and you don't bend the knee and come and sing for him, well, then you could face punishment for not doing so. And that's just straight up dictator. There's no other way to put it. There's no way I can sugarcoat this one. There's no way I can put a spin on this one any other way. I understand that when musicians enter into contracts, there's contracts drawn up on both sides. And if one cancels on the other, that the other one can hold the other one to account. I get all of that. But I also understand that the musician does have freedom of speech and has the right to say, I don't want to perform in this venue if this is how it's going to be. And so if you truly do value freedom of speech and freedom of expression, then you should absolutely support these musicians and say, you know what, if they don't want to play there, they shouldn't be forced, or they shouldn't be punished because they wouldn't sing for Donald Trump or wouldn't perform for him. It's crazy to me that we live in a world where people are okay with it, where people are going to be like, yeah, man, they need to pay up now. They need to sing for him or go home. No, they shouldn't have to. And it's an absolute disgrace. And the only political stunt was Donald Trump putting his name on a memorial. It's one of the most disgusting things we've ever seen. And I really do believe at the end of the day, he's doing this, number one, because his ego is so big it can't even fit in the whole damn country. And number two, I think he's so butthurt over the Nobel Peace Prize that he goes out and gets fake awards and puts those around his neck. And goes out and attacks people and talks about their poor ratings and how untalented they are, because at the end of the day, Donald Trump does not have a lick of talent whatsoever. The only talent that man's ever had is grifting. The only talent he's ever had is just being able to make gullible people, fork over their money. It's absolutely crazy when you sit and look at the grifts that he's done, and then you got people sitting back going, "Oh man, he don't even take a salary. He loves this country." That's one of my favorite lines ever. Just know that if you've ever said that to me, I have absolutely been laughing on the inside, because if you've not really dug in and seen all the grifting and the millions and billions of dollars that this dude and his family has raked in and will continue to rake in after it's over, do you think they're ever going to go away? Does anyone honestly think that the Trump family will ever go away after seeing this grift work so good for their dad? We're in for it, folks. We're in for it for the rest of our lives. And to my grandson, I would say, buddy, saddle up. You're in for it for the rest of your life, too, because old Barron Trump will come up in this world. There's people that would already elect him president today if they could. They would put him in power right now, and he ain't got a sense God give a goose, but they'd stick him in there and let him try. Why? Because he's got Trump's name, and because he would just continue to punch down at the people they hated. They'd love him for it. These people aren't going away. They're the absolute ultimate grifters. They always have been, and they always will be. And we're seeing so many people still to this day jump in on the grift. One of the craziest things to me is the fact that as we go forward in this, you would think that the wheels would come off and that more people would run away. But instead, more people are just coming out and latching onto it because they realize they can. They realize, hey, there's a grift to be had over there. I can get away with anything. I can go over there and I can be pardoned for any crime that I've done. I can be forgiven for any sin that I've done. So now,
Okay, no lies detected. All right, no lies detected. Okay, somebody needs to tell this to Trump. All right, putting your name on a building intended to honor another does not make you important. Okay, it makes you pathetic. All right. Trump's just trying to force himself on everybody. Okay. And we're not here for it. He needs to sit down somewhere at the end of the day. And that man told no lies whatsoever. Okay. It's the grift of it all. All right. Trump's got the grift that keeps on grifting. That's all he's been doing since he's been in there, trying to figure out how they can make all this money or whatever. And then sitting there bragging about America's so rich. The only one getting rich is him. Okay, so now with that all being said, let's talk about the Somalians. Okay, and who else was involved in it? Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Now, first off, let's go to the Somalian leaders apologizing to Trump. Are y'all ready for it? They apologized to Trump because they don't want to get deported. Okay, so they threw the rest of them under the bus. And it was the Black Americans with our nefarious selves who they said were throwing them under the bus. But thrown under the bus by your own leaders? Are you serious, Somalians? Now, I haven't posted on TikTok in probably over a month. But, I think today I just might do a TikTok because this is all nefarious. I mean, they went in on us without shame, okay, from their chest. That's what they did. Oh, we helped y'all with George Floyd. We protested. No, you didn't. I didn't see y'all out there. Okay, I saw y'all talking trash and calling us criminals, even though some of y'all are whole pirates. But let's continue. Okay, I'm going to go to the footage. All right, lights up, everyone, please like and share. Not their leaders throwing them all under the bus and apologizing to Trump. Honey, here it is. You can't make it up.
We accept the president's words. They came from a place of anger and disappointment. I'm sure many Americans feel the same way.
The president was right to let loose his feelings. It shocked us into understanding the severity of the harm our people caused.
These criminals betrayed America's welcoming spirit.
Oh, how neat. Do y'all hear this? They call their own people criminals and said they betrayed America's welcoming spirit. Now, y'all know I can't wait to get on TikTok with this. Okay? I absolutely cannot. But let's continue.
The scale of these crimes has stained the reputation of American Somalis.
America's freedoms allowed us to build a unique community here in Minnesota. In return, we must promise to weed out any evil living among us.
This evil came from within our community. And so, as an honorable community, we take responsibility. We must correct this wrongdoing.
The only way to regain the trust of this nation is to root out crime, stay humble, and be forever grateful. That's the premise.
So, as honorable Somalis, we are going to take on the responsibility of apologizing to all Americans. We are deeply, deeply sorry.
The shame of this will haunt us forever. And hopefully over time you will come to forgive us. Thank you.
Y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? Well, what do y'all have to say? Hold on, beloveds. Let's go to this next clip. Let's go to this next clip because word on the streets is that a Fox News host debunked many of the MAGA talking points and lies on Minnesota's fraud issue live on air. This is worth the watch, they say. Well, now I listened to this, and they say that supposedly it was a Karen who was also involved in the fraudulent activities. So let's go to the footage, shall we? I find it all so interesting. Okay, I find it all so interesting.
Well, I looked at what he could be doing, and I looked at what he is doing. One of the things that ties his hands is this very legislature that is trying to get him to resign. Interesting, they're not asking for a recall. So when they say the people of Minnesota don't want him, we'll put it to a recall and let the people of Minnesota decide. Todd, love you. Google, if you Google, actually local Minnesota news outlets have been reporting on this for years. Speaking of years, during the Biden administration, there were 59 people convicted so far. The ringleader is not Somalian. She's a white woman named Amy Block. She was found guilty on all 7 counts that were brought against her. So there are people that are already in prison. And remember, some of these are not DHS or federal related facilities. Some of these facilities were closed down for other reasons, not even fraud. But back to your question about Tim Walz. He asked the legislature in his state to give him more authority so that he could do more. And they said no. 1. 2, he also has closed a number of these centers already, and not just for fraud. They were investigating them for everything else. One, for example, on that video that went out, not the one from years ago, the one just recently, they were already closed because they were a bad daycare center. There was no fraud. They were just not doing a good job of the daycare. He hired outside firms to audit the payments to these organizations. He shut down the housing stabilization entirely, that department entirely. He has hired an overseer for this specifically. And he continues to try and get more, and I don't think, honestly, I don't think he should resign. I don't think he's going to resign. But I do think it's political, and Republicans say it's not. 1, it's Republicans asking for him to resign. And 2, he's less than a year from re-election. And this is definitely going to put a ding and a chink in his armor as he runs.
Yeah, rightfully.
Okay, so let me say this. There is a person. There is a person, a conservative influencer who actually started going around to these different Somalian-run daycares, okay, basically trying to find out whether or not they were actually operating as daycares. And he came back with video footage, and it has been all over the internet. So we're going to talk about that, but also there are some people saying they don't think that the Somalians were doing this all by themselves. Okay, they say, and here's a lady saying that she has been doing investigative work. Okay, Nick, hold on, I'm sorry. The conservative guy, his name is Nick Shirley. That's his name. Now, they say Nick Shirley created thousands more citizen journalists. Americans are now reporting they will do their own investigative work on fraudulent Somali care centers in their areas. Okay, so now this guy who started doing these investigations has gotten other people supposedly it's influenced them to go out here and start doing investigations. So let's go to this video. I haven't watched it, but I did share this on X because this lady claims that she was investigating. So let's get into it.
So let's get into it. And I know that this is going to ruffle some feathers, but I don't give a fuck. Go get your Somalian sisters over in Minnesota yelling at people and cussing them out because they're getting caught for fraud in full hijab. This is telling people they don't like them because their skin is white in full hijab. Kicking people off the property of the mosque because they're investigating allegedly at the mosque in Minnesota. It's mostly a Somalian community. So they were basically reports from Somalian women that they were enforcing Sharia law at the mosque in Minnesota.
Now, I heard that too, that they were enforcing Sharia law on those women at the mosque in Minnesota.
So the government went in to investigate. However, it was not founded. But also none of the Somalian women or the community will speak. But when these people go there and ask if they can put their kids in daycares, they are met with the utmost resistance. The Somalian community is being very disrespectful.
Hold on, Jerron says some of that footage shows the license department lying for one of the daycare centers, pretending it went out of business a week prior to the guy going there. Really? That's very interesting. I'm not surprised, though. Okay, I'm not surprised because remember that DMV in Louisville, Kentucky that was supposedly giving out fake licenses if you paid $200 and you were a migrant, undocumented? Y'all remember that? And then the lady that was the whistleblower got fired.
Hundreds of videos online in full hijab.
Okay, now with that all being said, let's continue. Let's continue because Nick Shirley, like I said, he's got people out here. Okay. Now other people have started looking into it.
Centers with no children, you might have seen this video, which has amassed millions of views over the weekend. In it, YouTuber Nick Shirley alleges that Somali-run daycare centers in Minnesota are taking public money without providing care, accusing nearly a dozen centers of not providing any actual services or having any children present when he visited. Now, federal agents are on the ground in Minneapolis, conducting a massive investigation on childcare and other rampant fraud, according to Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. State officials are pushing back against these allegations, although they have said they take the concerns the video raised about fraud very seriously. They say the sites featured in the video have been subject to regular checks and were visited again this week, and 2 of the centers had already shut down. The BBC's U.S. media partner CBS News found no evidence of fraud when it looked over the center's public records, although there were other citations for things like safety. All but 2 of the facilities mentioned in the video had active licenses, and all active locations were visited by state regulators in the last 6 months. These accusations come after a recent conviction in Minnesota for what prosecutors called the largest ever fraud of pandemic aid. A number of Somali immigrants were implicated in that case, but they represent a fraction of Minnesota's Somali population, the largest in the U.S. Trump has repeatedly criticized Minnesota's Somali community and has said he does not want Somali immigrants in the U.S. Daycare centers with no children? You might have seen this video, which has amassed millions of
Now let's continue because here's another one that says fraud in Washington. Journalist exposes a Somali-run daycare in Washington, not Minnesota, and they literally admit they're not a child care center, and not knowing they're being recorded. Ooh, honey, the fraud is running rampant. Let's continue.
Went up, and she could hear people rustling around on the other side of the ring camera as if they were listening to her but not responding.
Kristen Magnuson and I also went to this house right after you guys to see if we get the same response, and we sort of did. We saw the same thing, you know, the windows with vinyl covering, can't see inside. We ring the doorbell, but actually somebody responds to us. Hey, is this Dagash Family Childcare?
No.
It's not Dagash Family Childcare.
No.
Okay, what's the name of the childcare here?
I don't know.
I ask, has this place ever been a childcare? The woman says no. Obviously, Washington state records tell a completely different story.
Yeah, this specific address is locked into Washington state records as a daycare.
Yeah.
It's locked into like the Google paid for the business.
Yep.
Is this address, right?
And it's up to date with licensing. The numbers here.
Okay, so we just visited Dagash Family Childcare. This address was confirmed online. They get $23,260 in October.
They have made $210,000 just this year.
And how many kids again is this place registered for?
Oh, that's the fun part. 3
kids.
So this place are licensed for 9 children.
Okay, this place is licensed for 9,
but they have 6 slots available.
Right,
which means they only have 3 kids, and they've raked in $210,000 in tax money.
And neighbors say when we ask them, have you ever seen kids come out of this place?
Not a single one.
Not a single one.
So this woman comes up. The people who live there actually texted her as a neighbor and asked her to confront us because they thought we were ICE. So the next question is, are they illegal immigrants? Why are they so concerned about ICE?
Jeez, that's another rabbit trail.
A total other rabbit hole. But what she said is, I have seen no evidence that there is a daycare there. She actually said, My husband and I were wondering how those people afford that house because she said the rent was $3,500 a month.
I haven't seen kids over there.
Okay, interesting.
I have seen, I've seen one child over there, like when they have like family things.
Right, yeah.
But no, I have not seen any evidence of daycare activity there.
On 9/11, 2025, they came in and they inspected. They found multiple long-term, short-term, serious, and immediate risks to children. That's in September. In September, they were awarded $22,000.
So I reached out to the Washington State Department of Children, Youth, and Families, right? Again, this is the...
Okay, now Acitra says the small hats in New York have been doing the same thing for years. Media is, I guess, crazy. I can't see what that symbol is. But yeah, absolutely, beloved. I reported on that like 5 years ago. Specifically in New Jersey, okay, a lot of the Orthodox community in New Jersey was in fact charged with fraud, okay, mostly with welfare and Section 8. But let's continue.
Agency that essentially licenses, does oversight, does the inspections. I have yet to hear back. That's now in the state of Washington.
Yes.
What is the state of Washington's accountability practices now? If there are violations, how much time do they have to correct course? Does funding get stopped? These are questions that still need to be answered. What I want to emphasize, though, especially in our reporting, is that we're not alleging that every single one of these Somali-run daycares are engaged in fraudulent activity.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we went to some today that seemed totally legitimate.
Right. And the vast majority may be legit. But the ones that we've investigated and the list that we still have that needs to be investigated, there are concerning signs. We can't do this alone. There are dozens of places we need to hit up. We've just scratched the surface here in Washington State. A lot of these potential problematic Somali daycares are in South King County. So frankly, Cam, we can't do this alone. This is a call out now to the community, other citizen journalists, other volunteer sleuths who want to start following up. I mean, really, all you need is courage, some curiosity, and an iPhone to document what's happening at these places.
Yeah, and you know, don't show up and be mean and harass people, but
Okay, so there y'all have it. More fraud, and they're saying that was in Washington. Now, here is a video of a manager at a Somali daycare in Minnesota who speaks after uproar and widespread fraud. And also, as far as that video that I showed you all is concerned, where they said the leaders were apologizing and whatnot, now I had to look into that because, first of all, let me just say that that video was shared by the White House press secretary, Caroline Levitt. Okay, so I wanted to make sure it's authentic because you know that the White House doesn't have a problem with using AI generated video footage. So when I looked it up, it basically said, yes, the Somali community, particularly in the US, especially Minnesota, has actively addressed the nation, because that's what the title of it was. Somali community addresses the nation and apologizes to Trump or whatever. And so it says, they have actively addressed the nation and its leaders through press conferences, social media, and community organizing in response to political rhetoric and immigration policies targeting them. Okay, and also the community leaders said that the fraud, the over $250 million of fraud, does not represent the entirety of their community. So yeah, in fact, they did throw the rest of them under the bus, like I said. But where's the outrage? Because they were so mad at Black people, okay, and African Americans. But let's continue. Let's see what this daycare manager has to say about the fraud.
YouTuber that was making the claims, you were here earlier today. I came here at 1 o'clock. You were here. Where are you now? You claim we're closed. You claim we're fraud. Where are you? Why are you not here right now? It's like you're trying to put out a certain message about a certain group. I'm not going to make that claim. I don't want to make that claim without me knowing him personally, but that's what it seems like he's doing from his front. Where are you right now? He was here earlier. He was recording us. We had no issue with it. We told him, hey, just get off our property. You can record. Now he's not here. He came outside of those hours and then claimed, hey, they're closed and they're still making money. They're using taxpayer money to work. And it's like, you don't come outside of operational hours and then say, they're using taxpayer money. That was completely false. As you can see, we're open Mondays through Thursdays, 2 to 10 p.m. He was here earlier. I don't see him right now. So it's like, are you trying to record that we're doing fraud, or are you trying to put the Somali name and the fraud in the same sentence? That's what really hurt us the last couple of days. We're open. We've been open. We haven't closed. We've been open for eight and a half years now. We haven't closed once during that period. So I want to touch on that first. The second thing is, which is kind of laughable, is the sign. We messed up the sign. We paid somebody to do our sign. He incorrectly did it. We're having him work on it. We paid him to correct the sign. He said it'll be done by this week. So by the end of this week.
Now he's sitting up there saying that they're a legit daycare, and they may be, but I want y'all to peep something. If y'all didn't catch it already. So the sign behind him, because he's saying something about the person made a mistake on the sign, they're supposed to fix it. Sir, it literally says the Learning Center. Learing, not learning center. It says Quality Learning Center. But this is a legit business. Why didn't you have that fixed right away? When did you notice it was spelled incorrectly? I have several questions.
Our sign will be fine. The third thing, which is the fraud claim. There's no fraud going on whatsoever. Kids come to us.
A learning center that can't spell correctly? Make it all make sense.
Clients come to us. Their parents come to us. They're here daily. They leave on time. They come on time. There's no fraud going on whatsoever. Where those claims came from, I mean, if a group of people does fraud, you don't paint the brush with everyone in that group. You don't say, hey, there's a group of people that are somebody that are doing fraud. Say, hey, every single somebody must be part of fraud. No,
well, that's what they say about African Americans, and y'all don't have a problem when they say it about us. Now, I'm not saying they should say that about them, but at the end of the day, we know how it all goes.
Business owners. And being a business owner is extremely tough. Trying to raise kids that are not yours, that are others, is extremely tough as well. But then for people to come and go like, hey, they're not really working, they're just taking free money. If any of us have children here, raising children is not easy.
Here's the thing. Why is he standing outside telling them all of this? Dorada says, stop while you're ahead, sir. Exactly, because here's the thing. If you really are running a legit business, sir, go open up that door and let them go inside and see the kids. And see them learning, not learning. Okay, let's see them learning in the Learning Center. Go open up the door. Why is he standing outside trying to convince them? Listen, if I had a legit daycare business and they're accusing me of fraud, I'd just let them come on in and see the children and the whole setup. Standing outside and all of that, yeah, I don't believe it. I just don't, because, sir, that sign is just a dead giveaway. And also, that looks like just a warehouse or something. Who would take their kids to that type of daycare? I know I wouldn't, but hey, that's just me.
Trying to help them with schoolwork, trying to build their manners is not easy work. So when somebody comes and does that, it's really disheartening. In the community itself, as Minnesota, as Somalis, as people that own this business for 8 years now, we do nothing but to uplift the community, uplift our children, uplift one another, uplift non-Somalis, uplift Somalis, to make a better community for all of us. So when somebody comes in and says, hey, we're not doing it, it's just like if he would have came during operational hours and there's no one here, okay, you've got a point. He came, I think it was 11 a.m. Obviously, there's no cars in the parking lot. He
said, listen to this. I want you all to pay attention. This man is, hold on. Terry Hinn said he's Somali splaining. Listen, he said if he had come during operational hours, he would see that it was a legit business, basically. He said he came at 11 a.m. Sir, what time does the daycare operate? Aren't most daycares open at 11 a.m.? Because most people bring their children around 6, 7, 8, 9. Because that's what time most people go to work, sir. So what are you talking about? It's not like he came at 11 p.m. at night. He just said the man came at 11 a.m. How in the hell is that not operating hours for a daycare? Are y'all listening? Let's continue.
Look around. There's cars now. Yeah, because our employees are here. Our children are here. Our clients are here. But don't come at 10 a.m. You're like, hey, their door's not open. Obviously, our door's not going to be open at 10 a.m. We're not open at 10 a.m.
He said you don't come at 10 a.m. and 9 a.m. Sir, I never heard of such. Okay, I'm not going to believe him. Let's go to this black man. Let's see what the black man has to say. Okay, this man looks like a Black American. Let's see if he says he's seen any kids there, if he knows if it's fraudulent or what.
Daycare center owned by Somalians and stuff like that.
Have you ever seen any kids in this place here?
No, not that I know of. I just seen it, the building itself. I've never seen nobody come out the building or go in the building.
You've never seen anybody over there?
No, not at all.
So right now we are in front of the Great Minds Learning Academy. This is one of the many daycare centers, learning centers here in Columbus, Ohio, that are associated with the Somali community. As you know, Nick Shirley put out a bombshell report about all these fraudulent daycare facilities in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So
Dynamic Quality said, Queen, don't give this Shirley guy undue attention. He's a Trump fraud. Honey, listen, I know that. Didn't I sit here and tell you all that he's a conservative YouTuber? So if he's a conservative YouTuber, I know that he's for Trump. I don't care who he's for. I'm talking about the fraud that's being uncovered, honey. And at the end of the day, when the truth comes out, I don't give a darn who is giving the truth, okay? I don't have to like Nick Shirley, but at the end of the day, I said what he did when he started exposing this fraud has made other people, like that Black woman I showed you a video of, go out there and start trying to expose it too. Okay, at the end of the day, honey, I don't give a darn about Nick Shirley.
we wanted to come out to Columbus, Ohio, and investigate what might be going on in the second largest Somali community in the United States of America. So this place here is the first.
You know what the First Amendment is, buddy?
The First Amendment?
Yeah, the First Amendment.
What is it?
I don't know how I got onto that. Hold on. What I did, how did I get on this? Hold on, let me stop the share. Because I was all into what that guy was saying. Hold on, let me see if I can pull that back up. Like Urban, please like and share. Okay, now here is another. I have to find that other clip, but here is another clip of them talking about the fraud. I don't know how I just completely clicked off of that. What in the world?
Right. How do you know that all the allegations that you're making are true?
How do I know that they're true? Well, we showed you guys what was happening, and then you guys can go ahead and make your own analysis.
We're coming so we can make our own analysis. Are you 100% sure you're true?
Yeah, I am 100% sure I'm true.
That was conservative YouTuber Nick Shirley. His viral video where he's going door to door at daycares in the Minneapolis area and saying that he's uncovering massive amounts of fraud at Somali-run daycares has exploded on social media. Elon Musk retweeted the video. JD Vance retweeted the video. CNN is looking into Shirley's claims. This idea of fraud in Minnesota, though, is not new. In fact, for many, many years, the Department of Justice has been prosecuting cases against dozens of defendants, many of whom are concentrated in the Somali American community here in the Minneapolis area. Some of those cases actually began under Biden's DOJ in 2022 for a various list of different types of frauds.
And that's when I broke the story in 2022. Okay, I was the first one that broke that story. Now, with that all being said, and here we are 3 years later, and they're still talking about the fraud.
So far, there have been at least 80 people indicted, at least 56 convictions. Attorney General Pam Bondi responded to the Shirley video, as did the FBI Director Kash Patel. Both of them say federal law enforcement has been all over this from the beginning and has secured many indictments. Further, this has become a major political headache for Governor Tim Walz because Republicans here in Minnesota say he is ultimately responsible for these fraud issues, for not doing enough to have an adequate level of accountability. Governor Walz says that he has done a lot. He's shut down one program. He's established a program integrity director. He says that he is doing what he can to try to root out this fraud.
How do you know?
Oh, so nefarious. Now let's go back to the other clip we were looking at. And here's the thing. At the end of the day, we already know why Nick Shirley and any of MAGA is out here doing the investigation. Duh. Okay, we already know why they're out here doing the investigation, because they don't want the Somalis here any more than Trump does. Another reason why the Somalis came out, in my opinion, those leaders of the community came out and threw the other ones under the bus is because they don't want to get deported. Trump has been talking about, these mass deportations and all of that, and they don't want to be caught up in the crossfire. So they will gladly throw the rest of them under the bus, and say, well, the ones that are doing this, we don't have anything to do with it. Now, I can't say that I blame them, but for them to be trying to go hard in the paint on African Americans, but not going into their own people, clearly threw them under the bus is just obtuse, in my opinion. Now, that all been said, I'm going back to the clip that I accidentally clicked off of. DJ Big Six said, why not self-deport? DJ Big Six, why don't you self-deport? Okay?
So it's locked. We're ringing the doorbell here. Knocking on the door. Nobody's picking up. So we're not sure what the hell's going on here, but we're gonna get out of here. Now there's somebody over there. How you doing, sir? I'm sure you see the reports over the weekend about all the daycare centers in Minnesota. We just wanted to see what was going on. Did you know anything about this place here?
It's a daycare center owned by Somalians and stuff like that.
Did you ever see any kids there?
No, because they use the back door, so I won't know if they is.
They use the back door.
Yeah, I've never seen nobody come in it, but they use the back door.
But have you ever seen any kid? You live around here?
Yeah, on this building right here.
Oh, you're in this building?
Yeah.
You're in this building too? Let me ask you, have you ever seen any kids in this place here?
No, not that I know of. They use the back, so I've never seen nobody come out the front.
You've never seen anybody over there?
No, not at all.
I just seen it, the building itself. I've never seen nobody come out the building or go in the building.
So we came to the back, just like those guys suggested, and there's nothing here. We can keep poking around, but there's so many of these centers to go to. We're just
Now, with that all being said, someone in the comments section said, who believes MAGA? Well, listen, I wouldn't advise anyone to believe MAGA, but you're watching the video for yourself. Do you believe your eyes? Do you believe your eyes? We literally see the daycare centers with no kids there. Okay, we literally see the parking lots empty. We see Black people who live in the area saying they've never seen kids there. Okay, what else do you need at the end of the day? And also, here's one to grow on. For those of you saying, why believe MAGA? You don't have to believe them. Just believe the receipts. Okay, I don't give a damn about MAGA. I'm looking at the receipts. Now, just because MAGA is showing them doesn't make them not any truer. Okay, another thing is, I find it all very interesting that guy was sitting up there making all those asinine excuses, in my opinion, just deflecting and gaslighting as far as I'm concerned, and did not show anything inside of that building. Okay, so I have several questions. Now, here's the thing. There was a report that MAGA actually broke into one of the daycares in Minneapolis overnight. At least that's what they say. And they probably did. Okay, they probably did. I don't put anything past them. Now let's go to that clip. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Queen Sam said they were on a field trip. Okay.
I'm the manager of the Commerce Daycare. I want to show you what happened today, this morning, what we came to.
ganacsigan Nokomas Care Center-ka ayaa xalay 3 am la jabsaday marka maamulaha Nasri oo maamulaha ah daycare-ka ayaa tusay meesha laga soo galay iyo si loo jabsaday.
Meesha waa laga soo galay darbigana u jeedin la qariyay baa intaan biraha la jibiyay
shubka way jabsadeen shub dhankaan ka tusaya markaas alwaaxa ayaa lagu xiray mutsalaalkii waa u jeedaan in la jajabiyey waa gudahana waa arki doontaan marka banaankan ay ka jabsadeen marka xalay ayay jabsadeen miya
yes around 3 am and then we came one loo sheegay around 6 o'clock
saaka subaxii
salaad subaxii marka soo tukanay waan loo sheegay daycare imaadaan lagu dhahay waa imaadnay markaas alaabtaan baa aragnay klinika noo sheegay inuu waxaan dhacay
marka qolyaha nadiifiya daycare-ka saaka marka shaqada soo galeen ay nadiifinayeen daycare-kii ayuu arkay bal marka natus gudaha hada galaynaa Nasri wuxuu natusayaa meeshay ka soo galeen iyo wixii ay qaateen iyo xafiiska ay jabsadeen gudaha hadda soo galnay daycareka marka maamulaha daycarekan oo caruur lagu hayo ayaana tusaya meesha ay kasoo jabsadeen gudaha meesha kasoo galeen idinkaa gelisa ku qarsan maya marka derbigaasay soo jabsadeen oo ujeedaan meeshana kasoo galeen haye family dolka inay meesha ka galaan isku dayeen ganacsi kale oo ku dhagan waayey daycareka dukaan waaye okay way jabeen markuu qufulnaa xafiiska markuu qufulnaa oo ujeedaan xafiiska mar walba maadaama dokumentiyada ay yaalaan oo qufulan yihiin way jabiyeen albaabkii maxay qaateen markay jabiyeen maxay qaateen marka
Yeah, something else. Okay. I think we've seen enough. Okay, so he says they broke in there. Mary James said, I still don't see any children. I don't see any children either, honey. I think it's all fraud. At the end of the damn day, I don't care where the receipts came from. At the end of the day, it looks like they're committing fraud. And one thing about it that you can rest assured is if MAGA was telling Somalians anything about African Americans, they believe it. Please pay attention. They already believe it. That's why these people come here looking down on us in the first place. Now, with that all being said, there's a video that I'm going to go to where this Somalian in Minnesota is very angry that Somalians are getting exposed and then says if you kick out Somalians, you got to kick out other Africans too. If he don't sit down somewhere, why would they have to kick out other Africans? Honey, these people need to sit down and have several seats. Okay, let's get into it. It's a small clip, but we're going to check it out. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Thank you in advance. Here he is talking crazy.
If you're kicking out Somalis, you have to kick out everyone else. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I'm speaking for all of my African brothers and sisters. If you kick Somalis out, you have to kick all of them out. All of us, we all leave together. Because if you kick us out, you have to kick everyone else. I'm gonna be honest, and I know everyone in the comments, everyone watching this video agrees with me. If you're
Sir, nobody agrees with you. Go sit down somewhere. Why in the hell would other Africans leave because you're getting kicked out, sir? Okay. Make it all make sense. Songwriter Sunny said, Queen, you're only saying that because it's true. Who do you think you are? Okay. It is true, isn't it, beloved? Oh my goodness. Above all that drama said, oh, light bulb head looking. I'm not even going to read that. You need to sit down. Okay. I just find it all interesting. All right. And did you all see the picture of the supposed daycare workers? I'm sorry. I wasn't believing any of those people were actual daycare workers. Hold on. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Okay, breaking. Another Somali child daycare center being exposed in Columbus. Okay, here's another one. I haven't seen. Or did I? I think I did see this one. Hold on. Let's go to the footage. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share.
Today, I'm showing you 161 Childcare in Columbus, Ohio. And as you can see, it does not look like a childcare center at all. It is locked. It says it's open. There's a little desk right there, but the ceiling's all falling out and stuff like that. And if you come around back, you can see that this place is just a total dump. Literal just debris everywhere.
MAGA is on their
This is a question. How do you enroll? How do you enroll your children here? You can't do that? No kids? So how can I enroll my children? It says you get public.
am so done. Okay. Byron B said, kick rocks, sir. My goodness, this is all so nefarious. Let's continue.
Public money through. You get public money through Ohio. You get money through the state of Ohio. This is a money that gets. Damn.
It's bull crap. Oh my goodness. Absolutely cannot. Hold on, that's the wrong comment. Soul Sister said MAGA will do anything, even give away tax dollars to keep FBA from getting a dime. You know they will. They're obsessed with us. Okay, Durana said also nefarious. Okay. As Cedra said, I wouldn't let his crazy ass in either. Songwriter Sunny said the Minnesota Ninjas. Oh my goodness. So Sister says they got 30K single Somali moms getting welfare. Why MAGA not talking about that? Okay, yes, that's the question. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Dynamic Quality says, Queen, this is not cool. I'm sorry. Trump is using this as an excuse to do more evil. Honey, Trump is evil. We know that. You think I don't know that? Okay, haven't I been reporting every day on Trump's nefarious ways? Of course he is. All right, of course he is. But at the end of the day, I'm still mad because they sat up there and blamed us for it when they should be blaming themselves, okay? They should be blaming themselves. And while you're sitting up here mad because the truth is coming out on these Somalians, you need to think about what the Somalians say about Black Americans. Okay? I'm not defending their thievery. I'm not defending them committing fraud. I'm not going to stand up on that. Please, miss me with it. At the end of the day, yeah, Trump is evil. That doesn't have anything to do with them committing fraud. Let's not forget that the investigation started under Biden in 2022. So they've been committing fraud, clearly. Okay? At the end of the day. Now, Soul Sister says foundational Black Americans can't get loans, grants, or any kind of assistance, yet Somalis have taken $9 billion in tax dollars. Exactly. Then there'll be some of them come over here acting like we're criminals and we're lazy and all this, that, and the third. Honey, I'm not defending their BS. Okay? I don't give a darn what Trump is doing. That's on Trump. But at the end of the day, are they not actually committing fraud? The proof is out there. We reported on this in 2022 before when Trump wasn't even in office. Okay, I'm not going to stop reporting just because Trump doesn't like these folks. That doesn't have anything to do with me. Period. Now, with that all being said, what's not cool is sitting there pointing a finger at people for doing crime, but then you don't want to point out everybody that's doing crime. Selective outrage. All right? Selective outrage. Yeah, I don't have it. I've never had it. If you're wrong, say you're wrong, and I'm going to call it out, no matter who it is. Okay, the Somalians are committing fraud. I'm calling it out. Just like I called out when the Orthodox community in 2020, when I reported on them committing fraud in New Jersey. Okay? That's how that goes. It's facts over feelings. Now, if you're in your feelings, if anybody is in your feelings about me reporting the truth, then I don't know what to tell you, because that's what you get on this channel, the truth, unfiltered. Do you like it or not? That's just what it is. Okay? That's just what it is. Now, and of course, Trump is going to use it to be racist. So is MAGA. But what's funny to me about it, why I'm laughing and getting a kick out of some of this, is because the Somalians go in on Black people every day. They don't say a damn thing about MAGA. Where's their videos going in on MAGA for coming in and looking up evidence on them? For sneaking around trying to find out what's going on. Where's their videos going in on them? But they said Black Americans are the ones who called ICE, that we're the ones who got ICE to start deporting them. That's a lie. It was MAGA. It was Trump. Okay? Why aren't they going in on them? I'm not going to defend them after they sat here and accused us and went hard in the paint and talked all that trash. Please. At the end of the day, just because Trump's being racist is not going to stop me. It's not going to get me on their bandwagon. Okay, that's what that's not going to do. Now, if they were some of our allies, that would be a different story. But, you know, most of them are not. They say they're not Black, so they can hold this L on their own. Now, with that all being said, before I rolled out of here, there was one more video I wanted to show. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Hold on. And this video doesn't have anything to do with Trump. Hold on. This is just something that I pulled up. I think this might be it. Hold on, beloveds. It was a video. I think this is it. Yeah, it's a video about Shakur. When Shakur threw that interception against the Steelers, they show on this clip, they show Deion put his head down. Hold on. Let me pull the clip up first. They show Deion put his head down. They called it a father's grief. Claudette said, thank you, Queen, for keeping it 100. You're welcome, beloved. That's what I'm always do, okay? That's what I'm going to always do. At the end of the day, I just find it interesting because these are the people, like I said, they listen to MAGA talking points when they get here. That's why they look at us crazy. That's why they think. And it's really interesting because here's the thing. The Somalians just got, I want y'all to read my lips. Well, you can't see my lips because the camera's off, but I want y'all to listen because the Somalians have just gotten their ninja wake-up call. All that talk about they're not Black, well, guess what? You're Black to MAGA, you're Black to Trump, you're non-white, so you might as well call yourself Black. They want you up out of here because Trump wants this country to look like a whole bunch of him, okay? Now, if they had come here like they had some sense and been on sides with us, it would be a different story, but they did not. As a lot of these people come here who almost look like us and do not. And so they just have to be called out. Okay? They have to be called out. That's just what it is. Now let's go to this clip. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance.
From Shakur Sanders stopped Tony Romo mid-sentence and made Deion Sanders look away. Late in the fourth quarter against the Steelers, Shakur Sanders made the most costly decision of his young NFL career. With Cleveland protecting a slim lead, Shakur rolled back and launched a desperation ball into traffic. Steelers safety Kyle Duggar read it the whole way. Interception. And Tony Romo didn't hesitate. That's as poor a decision as he's made in his young career, Romo said live on air. Up in the press box, Deion Sanders pulled his hat down over his eyes. The broadcast called it the agony of a parent. Cleveland still won 13-6, but the moment lingered. Shakur owned it. The win felt bittersweet, he said. 13 points aren't enough. He has to be better. Back in September, Deion revealed the Ravens and Eagles wanted Shakur in the draft. Shakur turned them down because he didn't want to sit behind another franchise QB. He wanted to learn by playing. Sunday showed the price of that choice. Growth, pressure, mistakes, live on national TV. So what matters more right now? The interception Tony Romo called out? Or the fact that Shakur still found a way to win?
All right. Now y'all see how they did that. They quit hating. They can quit hating on my nephew. They showed Dion putting his hat over his face. Yeah, he made a mistake at the end of the day. All rookies do. So they need to sit down somewhere because it still came back for the win. All right? Please pay attention. All right. Shout out to Shadur Sanders. He's going places. With that all being said, DJ 5419 says, speak on it, Queen. Thank you, beloved. Okay. That's right. Nia said, so what? Like he's not going to make mistakes. Exactly. Okay, exactly. All right. Byron said they know how to apply pressure on the young man. Yes, but he's here for it. Okay, Dynamic Quad said, Queen, you are mostly correct in what you're saying, and it's a right-wing distraction. Two things are true at once. You're right, beloved. I absolutely agree with you, and that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. At the end of the day, listen, they brought this on themselves, and I'm going to tell you why. Well, we already know why, because committing crime and fraud, okay, you should know you're going to get caught at some point. But here's my thing. When this story first broke in 2022, when under the Biden administration, they were already being investigated, I think they should have stopped then. It's the audacity for me that they continued with the fraud. This story came out 3 years ago. They knew they were being investigated, but instead they said, well, if y'all are going to investigate us, that's racism. We're going to call it racist because you're targeting our community and saying that we're committing fraud, which they absolutely were, and they knew it. Okay, they knew it. And they thought that because they had protected status in this country, I want you all to pay attention. Here's the thing. If anyone in this country should have protected status, it should be Black Americans. Where's our anti-Black hate crime bill? We should have protected status, but we don't. And there's people who come here and do. And then they want to talk trash and look down on us. Yeah, I'm not here for it. Okay, I'm not here for it. But they thought they could get away with this stuff because they had protected status. But as you can see, Trump has taken that protected status. Okay, that's why their own leaders came out. And here's the thing. How can anybody be mad at me for calling this out when their own leaders came out and admitted that they committed the fraud and said they don't want anything to do with it? That they took America's kindness for weakness. Basically, I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically the gist of what they said. Their own people. But are they going in on them? No. They want to go in on us. You know why? Because everybody that gets into a kerfuffle, they always want the Black Americans to come to the rescue. I've said it 1,000 times. They always want the African Americans, no matter how low down they've treated us, no matter what they've said about us, they always want us to come to the rescue. And we're just not doing it. Save yourselves, just like we have to save ourselves. Okay? Just like we have to save ourselves. Now, with that all being said, and another thing too, is you all remember the whole thing with the PPP loans. Well, wasn't that specifically targeting the Black community? Was it not? With those nefarious PPP loans? And then Biden said that he was giving them a window where they could investigate it for up to 10 years. Remember that? Okay. Did they come to the Black people's defense? Yeah, no, they didn't. They absolutely did not. All right, Claudette, thank you for being a member for 18 months, beloved. I appreciate you. With that all being said, I'm up out of here. I hope you all enjoyed the broadcast. Now, listen, for those of you who are going to be home tonight, don't forget that we're doing a countdown to the new year. It's going to start at 9 o'clock. Okay, it's going to be messy because what we're going to be talking about is Clarissa Shields crashing out. We're going to be talking about that. And I'm reading these comments. Oh, Cole Conman, I know I'm saying that name wrong, says, I do agree with Queen on principle. Some have been to prison, and the majority were Somalian, but some were white or American. Now, listen, I said that too. I did say that too. I told y'all that one of the main people involved in that fraud that the Somalis are involved in was a Karen. She's already been sent to prison. Okay, that's why I showed you all that news clip. Yeah, it was a white lady, okay? And she's already been sent to prison. So yeah, absolutely, they weren't doing it by themselves. We know they weren't doing it by themselves at the end of the day. But anyway, it's a whole host of people. I mean, they're even saying that Tim Waltz needs to be investigated or arrested, saying that he let it happen. So I'm just sitting back and waiting and watching to see how it all pans out. With that all being said, listen, we'll be back at 9 o'clock for the countdown to the new year. Everyone, please like and share. We're going to be talking about a myriad of things, at least 2 or 3 different topics. So I will see you all then. Okay. LeVar said she needs to get a PR team and have them manage it. Okay. So anyway, I love you all to life. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Until next time, I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.
Sold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now.
That's
See
right.
a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy.
Real slick.
I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got